Looking at 3A.4, our mastery learning objective. I can add and subtract complex numbers by applying the properties of real and imaginary numbers. All right, so looking at, I guess we're starting with number 20. I don't know why the number didn't change. We have negative 4i times 7i. Okay. So we start with our coefficients when we just have two called monomials being multiplied. Negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. Then we have I times I, which is I squared. The biggest thing to remember I squared equals negative 1. Okay, so now in this, instead of I squared, I'm going to put negative 1. So we have negative 28. And I'm going to replace I squared with negative 1 in parentheses so that I know I'm multiplying. So that's negative 28 times negative 1. And negative 28 times negative 1 is positive 28. The biggest issue I see is people doing this. Okay, we get the negative 28i squared. Then we do negative 28, I squared is negative 1. We don't put parentheses, and then they go, oh, negative 28 minus 1 is negative 29. Okay, this is wrong. Don't do that. Okay, so use those parentheses so that you don't think you're subtracting it. You think you'll remember not to do that, but it's one of the biggest mistakes I see. Looking at our next one, right now we have it being multiplied by something. So you can distribute. Right? That's the easiest way, I think, when it's just a monomial times a binomial. So I'm doing 4i times 1, which is 4i. 4i times 6i. 4 times 6 is 24. I times I is I squared. We're adding there. Oh, I didn't put the I squared in. I said it. All right, again, that's because it's I times I is I squared. Just like x times x is x squared. Just like in our last one, I'm going to replace that I squared with negative 1. And we get our final answer of 4i. Positive 24 times negative 1 is negative 24. All right, looking at number 22, 3 minus 2i times 5 plus 3i. Remember when you have something that looks like this is when we multiply using our boxes. So I have 3, negative 2i, 5, and positive 3i. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. I. 3 times 3 is 9. We have an I. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. I times I is I squared. So I just write down all four, 15 minus 10i plus 9i minus 6i squared. Just like our previous problems, I'm going to replace the I squared. So I have 15 minus 10i plus 9i minus 6 times negative 1. So then that gives me 15 minus 10i plus 9. Hold on. Plus 9i And then negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6, right? A negative times negative is positive. Now I'm just combining like terms. I have a constant here and a constant here. 15 plus 6 is 21. Then I have negative 10i and positive 9i. Negative 10 plus 9i is negative 1i, or just 21 minus I. All right, looking at 23, same type of thing. Okay. I have 4 and positive 5i, and 4 and negative 5i. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20i. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20i. Negative 5 times 5 is 25. I times I is I squared. Again, a lot of people are still adding these last ones. Okay, so be careful that we are multiplying there. I'm going to write all 4 of my numbers out. I have 16 plus 20i minus 20i plus 25i squared, or minus, this should be negative, sorry guys. That should be minus. Again, negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. I times I is I squared, which makes this minus 25i squared. Just like our last problem, right? I don't want I squared. I'm going to replace it with negative 1. I forgot an I. I'm struggling today. Alright, so we get rid of that I squared and replace it with negative 1. So now we have 16 plus 20i minus 20i, and then negative times the negative is positive, so plus 25. Combining our like terms, 16 plus 25 is 41. Then I have a positive 20i and a minus 20i. Those cancel out to be 0, so we don't write down anything. You do not have to write down 41 plus 0. Okay. All right, looking at number 24. Again, just like we did in KC2, we now have squared. 3 minus 2i squared is the same as 3 minus 2i times 3 minus 2i. Okay? And once I have that, we're just multiplying. So it's 3 and negative 2i, and 3 and negative 2i. So we have 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6i. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6i. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. I times I is I squared. 9 minus 6i minus 6i plus 4i squared. Again, we have to replace the I squared, so I have 9 minus 6i minus 6i plus 4. Again, instead of I squared, we're going to put that negative 1 in. So 9 minus 6i minus 6i, 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So I have 9 minus 4, which is 5. Negative 6 and negative 6 gives me negative 12. Last but not least, sorry guys, we have 5 plus 4i squared. Again, when it's squared, it just means I have two of them. So I have 5 plus 4i and 5 plus 4i. This part of my board doesn't want to work today. So I have 5 and 4i and 5 and 4i. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20i. 5 times 4 is 20i. 4 times 4 is 16. I times I is I squared. So I'm going to write all four of these numbers out. We have 25 plus 20i plus 20i plus 16i squared. Again, I'm going to replace that I squared with negative 1. So now we have 25 plus 20i plus 20i minus 16. Right, because positive times negative is negative. Combining our like terms, 25 minus 16 is 9. 20i and 20i gives you 40. So 9 plus 40i. Alright, and that is it. Go ahead, start working on that activity.